It's time to talk about Frankie Collins, who just committed to Arizona State. We did a little bit of a Frankie Collins out, Jalen Llewellyn in thing a couple of days ago. If you're watching this and you're wondering why I look like an idiot, I have a Michigan State jacket and a Michigan shirt on. We just did our Sleepy Awards episode on the channel. Go watch that. We just recorded that for an hour. One of my favorite episodes of the year. We gave out awards for every great thing that happened in college basketball. But let's talk about Frankie Collins, because I have a conspiracy theory card, and when I have a conspiracy theory, you know that sometimes that can be a doozy. Why don't you go first, though? Frankie's at Arizona State. What do you think about that?
I first off want to start by saying that this episode right here came up off of a classic, because y'all don't see this. After me and G record our episodes, we literally have like a 20-minute, like basically FaceTime debrief. Talk about life, talk about golf, drinks, maybe plans for the future. Who really knows? But we decided that this needed to be talked about because this was a big thing. All right. Now, here's where I'm at on the whole Frankie thing. I think that for this year, Jalen Llewellyn, I'm pretty sure I'm pronouncing that correctly, correct? Jalen Llewellyn?
Llewellyn, yeah.
Llewellyn, yes.
I think so.
I think that this year he will make more of an impact than Frankie would have this year. So short-sighted, good move. I think that Frankie Collins could be a player in the future. I mean, he has athleticism. He has athleticism. I'm sorry. He's got some shit to his game. The jumper is absolutely broken, as of all broken. But if Michigan knows anything, it's how to operate with a point guard with a broken jumper. Shout out to Jeff Jackson. Okay. So they have the ability to play with a point guard of that caliber and make an impact. Frankie Collins went in the portal, 48 hours ago? Probably 72, maybe.
It was over the weekend. I think it was officially Saturday, which would make that 4 days ago.
And this is a Wednesday, and he's already committed to Arizona State.
Says everything you need to know.
That says everything you need to know. Also, Arizona State stinks. So does Hurley. Like, what's that team going to do? I guess Frankie can play 40 minutes a game. I know he can do that there.
Yeah. I guess let me debrief and then let me go conspiracy mode. Debriefing first. I've been critical of Michigan's point guard play. I've been critical of this move. I've been critical of Jalen Llewellyn. All of that. I'm gonna put all of that aside for a second and just talk about Frankie Collins. I'm very personally high on Frankie Collins. I don't really know why, Cart. I mean, I'll tell you why, but like he doesn't fit the prototype of guys I normally beg for to come play point guard for my school. He doesn't fit the skill set of guys I think are the best players on national championship teams. But there's something about this kid that I think is going to turn into a really dynamic, high major college basketball player at some point in the next 3 seasons of eligibility that he plays. And I don't like the Xavier Simpson comparison. Michigan fans, shut your ears. I hated Xavier Simpson as a Michigan fan. I'm sorry to say that. I respect him. He was a very good player. When I look back on the Xavier Simpson era, of course, there's a national championship appearance that he was a starting point guard for. And his development that year was probably the biggest reason that team went on such a great run. They had no point guard earlier in the year. He was great for the next 3 years after that. When I look back on the Xavier Simpson era, I think of him changing his name to Jeff Jackson, and I think of him getting dog walked by Cassius Winston. And I don't care that they probably had a 500 record against each other in their careers. I think Xavier Simpson might have even had a winning record in their careers against each other. Cassius Winston was miles better than him, was the higher ceiling college player, and in his final season with championships on the line went 3-0 against him. Okay? So, like, I don't like point guards that can't shoot. I don't like point guards that, like we had Jordan Poole. Do you see what Jordan Poole is doing in the league right now? I was screaming, give Jordan Poole the keys. We couldn't give Jordan Poole the keys because you can't put Xavier Simpson off the ball. Xavier Simpson's got to be everything. And Jordan Poole had to go. I mean, you heard this from Jordan Poole's own camp. He had to go stand in the corner. And he didn't actually stand in the corner. He was involved. He wasn't as good as he is now. But the point is, it's hard to move guys around that can't shoot if they play point guard. Like they just have to have the ball in their hands, otherwise they're not effective. And that's put Frankie Collins in a really tough spot, Cart, because not only can Frankie Collins not shoot, he is maybe the worst shooter in the country at that position. Like 46% from the free throw line as a point guard? Are you kidding me? Like not even talk about shooting threes, talk about create a jumper off the dribble. Like free throw attempts, you're a downhill physical guard. You're going to get to the line. 46%? And I don't really think that's going to change. So like that's all bad. And on top of that, you got Hunter Dickinson. You got the Big Ten Player of the Year preseason going into next year. You got a guy who should be a first-team All-American, who God gave you this gift from the heavens that is a third year of Hunter Dickinson because NIL exists. That's the only reason this man's playing a third year. And if you're going to maximize Hunter Dickinson, you don't do that with a point guard that can't shoot. You and I have talked about that. I don't care who the four players are. And honestly, I think this is Juwan's approach right now. He doesn't care who the four players are, but they better be able to hit an open jumper. And if you put four guys that can hit a three around Hunter, I don't care how limited they are besides that, Hunter will go to work. Hunter will get his 40, and if you send a double, guys are going to get open threes. That's essentially the team that went to the Elite Eight before Isaiah Livers got hurt, right? It was Mike Smith, 40% shooter. Shawnee Brown, 40% shooter. Isaiah Livers, 40% shooter. Franz Wagner, 34% shooter, who's actually a better shooter than that. Like, they had shooting everywhere. That's all you need around Hunter. So, like, this is going to lead me to my conspiracy theory. But long story short, Frankie Collins doesn't make sense with Hunter, and that's why he's not here. Now, separating that with my personal view of Frankie, I love him. I don't think the comparison is Xavier Simpson. I think the comparison is Darius Morris, Card. Darius Morris.
I just want to say I didn't make that comparison. I was just saying non-shooting point guard.
Right. Which,
that's the only comparison.
Again, through the years, you're right. Michigan's had success with. Like, let's go to the guy I'm going to compare him to. I've seen since his high school footage, since whatever that team was, it was the Las Vegas team he was on. You'd probably know the name.
Frankie Collins?
Yeah, he was on the Vegas team.
Las Vegas Elite. Las Vegas Elite.
Las Vegas Elite. He's reminding me of Darius Morris. From the moment I saw this kid, he's physical. He's not 6'4" like Darius Morris was, and that's probably one of his biggest hindrances at the college level. But the kid's a high flyer. He's a kid who will dunk on your head. He wants to go through contact. He's going to be an elite defender at the college level if he's not already. And to me, the way Darius Morris could kind of just get to his spot downhill wherever he wanted and get to the rim, and then he'd kick out and make no-look passes, Frankie was already doing that in the tournament. The one game he started, like, he had 2 or 3 like no-look over-the-shoulder passes that came out of nowhere. And I think, like, at some point, if he's utilized correctly, at some point, Frankie Collins is going to be a high-usage guard who has 6 or 7 assists a game, scores double digits, and he probably never fixes his shot, but that's a good enough player to lead a team to the tournament. And I think he's going to turn into that. Now, can I do my conspiracy theory? Because I've talked for 6 minutes straight here. I apologize.
No, please. You're cooking. Please.
Here's my conspiracy theory card. People aren't going to like this. Again, Michigan fans, shut your ears. But I'd bet my life this happened. He was forced out. He was processed. He was told, don't let the door hit you on the way out, Frank. And this is why. Frankie Collins has been the most publicly loud social media member of the Michigan basketball team, other than Hunter Dickinson, who's
I was just gonna say I gotta stop there.
But Hunter's not pro Michigan always. Hunter's just like screaming nonsense into the clouds at all times, right? Like Hunter's going on the Goodman podcast. Hunter's, complaining about NIL and trashing the university, and yet Hunter's back for another year because he got NIL from the university. Like, I like Hunter Dickinson, but he just yells. Frankie Collins, like, of everybody else in the roster, Frankie's been like the hashtags for next season for Michigan, the highlight reels, the like tag my brother, like all that shit. Frankie's on top of that shit frequently, week in, week out, all season long. That's Frankie Collins. Like, you can go back and look through his feeds. He's deleted a lot of it now, but as of a week ago, you can go back and look through his feeds. He was hyping up all this shit about next year at Michigan. Cart, what the hell changed? You know what changed? They got Hunter Dickinson back. They didn't know that was going to happen. They got Hunter Dickinson back. Then you know what changed? Some conversations were had by this coaching staff that said, well, shit, if we're going to maximize Hunter, the one more year we have him, if we're going to actually make a run at winning anything substantial, we need shooting. And that's not Frankie Collins. And so my insinuation here is, look, obviously there was a conversation. My insinuation is the conversation was, hey, Frankie, we're about to go get a guy who's going to take your job. And we're not forcing you out, but I'd assume you want the starting job, right? That ain't going to happen. We need shooting. We got Hunter. We need shooters. You're not a shooter. If you want to stay and be our backup point guard, more power to you. But that's what's about to happen. We're going to get Jalen Llewellyn. And Frankie, one, obviously didn't like that. But I don't, like, people are saying, like, oh, Frankie didn't want competition. I don't think Juwan Howard wanted competition. I don't think anybody at Michigan wanted Frankie Collins to stay as the backup point guard on this team. I think they want the scholarship. I think they wanted Jalen Llewellyn, and we'll see what they do with the scholarship now. There's rumors they're going to get another high-profile guy if admissions will let them. I don't know who that guy is, but yeah, people want to say Frankie ran from competition. I don't buy that for 1 second. I think Frankie was told, get out. You don't make sense. And look, that's a reality of college basketball. I'm not even saying that as like a Michigan fan. It's a horrible thing. I'm not accusing the staff of doing some horrible thing to Frankie Collins. Like, it is what it is. And Frankie, if you didn't see this, Frankie's post announcing he went to Arizona State today, the first post.
What date did he put on that, G?
November 16th, which is when Arizona State plays Michigan. Date circled on the calendar. And again, Cart, for a kid who was so pro Michigan, pro teammate, pro everything next season, to immediately say, I'm coming for Michigan, something happened. And let's not jump through hoops to say it's the player who didn't want it. Like, there were conversations had. They wanted him out. Frankie wanted out, and he's gone. It is what it is.
Right. I mean, and that happens too. Like, that's happened before NIL. Like, that's happened as long as college basketball has been a thing. There have been players that have been forced out. Obviously not you got to leave, but there's a way around getting a player out of the program. I think that, like you said, this solidifies that the whole Frankie's running from competition or Frankie doesn't want to compete for a starting spot thing, that's out the window. And I can't blame Frankie for leaving. I probably would have left too. Like, kid wants to play, kid wants to be great. You're in an era where you can transfer. You can go to Tempe, which is not half bad if anyone's ever been there. I think he'll do okay. He's closer to home. That's a great situation for him. But what I will say here, and I don't know if you thought I was going to take this angle, but I am going to take this angle because I think it is easy to take the Juwan Howard doesn't develop talent angle. I do think that there is room to say that he doesn't develop talent. But what I will say here is that, to me, this shows Juwan's will to go after it. All right. Like, go after it and go win. He, like you said, has been blessed with a third year of Hunter Dickinson, who coming into this year, if it wasn't for Oscar Sheetway coming back, would be the best big in the country and could still be in contention for best big in the country. And he basically is looking at it like, I have 1 year to make this work. Now, Frankie, you can sit behind a guy I'm bringing in that goes better around Hunter, and you can play behind him again for a year. I will probably find you some minutes somewhere, but it's not going to be in the starting spot. And he probably laid that out to him. But what he's seeing right now is that he has a very small window right now. He's coming off of a year where, even though he went to the second weekend, the regular season wasn't great. He had controversy and smacking people. He is getting Hunter Dickinson back this year. He's got to capitalize on that, and he has to take advantage of it. And that's what he's doing.
He did smack Greg Gard. That's still the funniest shit to me at this point. Yeah, you're right. I think this would be easier to swallow for me personally, and maybe for Michigan fans at large, if Jalen Llewellyn was a higher profile guy. It just is what he is. He was a top 100 recruit. He could be really, really good. Who knows? But like, if Jalen Llewellyn was Nigel Pack, then it's like, oh shit, yeah, Frankie's got to go, and we got this superstar, right? Like, that's what you're hoping. Like, it's not like Llewellyn.
It's not like it's not like you added like a knockdown shooter either. It's just anybody's a knockdown shooter compared to Frankie.
Compared to
He's
Frankie.
not that of a shooter.
Right. But that's my problem is like the theory of Frankie, you got to go because we're going all in on Hunter Dickinson. I love that theory. The problem is Jalen Llewellyn really the guy we're going all in with Hunter Dickinson with? Like, are you telling me Hunter went home was like, yes, title incoming? Like, what? Because we got Princeton's. How many titles has Princeton won in the 3 years?
How many Jalen Llewellyn posts has Hunter commented under? Because all I saw was Terrence Shannon comments.
Well, he's got podcast appearances to do, man. I don't know why Hunter came back, quite frankly, with these developments. A lot could happen. Maybe Michigan adds Malachi Smith. Who knows? I thought Imani Bates was coming because people literally told me to my face he was. And he's not. He's going to Louisville. So the offseason is a fickle monster, Carter Elliott. And Frankie Collins is just the latest victim to said fickle monster. Frankie, here's my message to you, Frank. I wish you luck. I enjoyed watching you. You stepping up that first round against Colorado State when the team was dead at halftime, going on a personal 8-0 run, got that spark started for another NCAA tournament run. And some programs don't miss second weekends. In fact, Michigan's made, I think, 6 or 7 straight. Because of you, Frankie, that streak's still ongoing. Wish you the best of luck. You're going to love Arizona State. You're going to love Sun Devil girls. A little bit different than the environment you might have been in Ann Arbor. Soak it up. Enjoy it. Make sure you're ready for your sit-out transfer next year to go to Tommy Amaker to Harvard so that you can make your way back to Ann Arbor in your 4th year when Christian Anderson ain't ready, Frankie. We're going to need you, Frankie. We're going to need you.
If that actually comes true, that'd be hilarious. And it'd be awesome if your second weekends came with Big Ten championship banners, but it only came with 1.
Hey, if we could hang Sweet 16 banners, I would. I'm just saying that right now. I want to.
Wow, that's big Illinois energy.